The daily routine of highly successful people. Most people believe that successful people have more talent, more intelligence, or more luck than everyone else. They imagine millionaires waking up every morning feeling inspired, productive, and completely in control of their lives. They assume that success is built on extraordinary moments or once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. But the truth is much simpler. The biggest difference between highly successful people and everyone else isn't what they do once in a while. It's what they do every single day. Success is rarely the result of one perfect decision. More often, it's the result of hundreds of ordinary decisions repeated consistently over the course of months and years. While most people search for shortcuts, successful people build routines, and those routines quietly shape the person they become. If you looked at the daily schedule of someone who has achieved remarkable success, you might actually be surprised. It probably isn't filled with dramatic moments or constant excitement. Instead, it looks repetitive, predictable, even boring. But that's exactly the point, because consistency will always outperform intensity. One of the first habits shared by many successful people is that they begin their day with intention instead of reaction. Think about how most people start their mornings. The alarm rings. They grab their phone before they even get out of bed. They immediately open social media, check messages, read emails, and consume information created by other people. Before they've even had breakfast, their attention already belongs to the world. Without realizing it, they've allowed other people's priorities to become their own. Highly successful people often do the opposite. Instead of immediately reacting to the outside world, they spend the first moments of the day focusing on themselves. Some exercise, some meditate, some journal, some simply sit quietly with their thoughts. The activity itself is less important than the principle behind it. They choose how to begin the day instead of allowing the day to choose for them. This small difference creates a completely different mindset before the rest of the world even wakes up. Another habit you'll notice is that successful people don't rely on motivation. They rely on routines. Motivation changes from day to day. Some mornings you'll feel unstoppable. Other mornings you'll barely feel like getting out of bed. If your productivity depends on your emotions, your progress will always be inconsistent. Successful people remove that uncertainty. They create systems that tell them exactly what to do. There's no debate. There's no negotiation. If it's time to exercise, they exercise. If it's time to work, they work. If it's time to study, they study. The decision has already been made. This saves an incredible amount of mental energy. Every decision you make throughout the day consumes willpower. Psychologists often refer to this as decision fatigue. The more unnecessary decisions you make, the harder it becomes to make good ones later. That's why many highly productive people simplify their routines. They eat similar breakfasts. They work at similar times. They follow predictable schedules. Not because they lack creativity, but because they want to preserve their mental energy for decisions that actually matter. Another characteristic of successful people is that they prioritize their most important work early in the day. Most people spend the first few hours responding to emails, checking notifications, organizing their desks, or completing easy tasks that create the illusion of productivity. It feels like progress, but often nothing meaningful actually gets done. Highly successful people usually identify the single most valuable task they need to complete. Then they work on that first. Before distractions appear, before meetings begin, before their energy starts to decline, they understand something that many people forget. Not all tasks are equally important. Completing 10 small tasks doesn't necessarily move your life forward. Sometimes one difficult task creates more progress than an entire day of busy work. That's why they focus on impact instead of activity. Another daily habit is protecting their attention. Today's world is designed to distract you. Every notification competes for your focus. Every app wants your attention. Every platform encourages endless scrolling. Attention has become one of the most valuable resources in the modern world, and successful people protect it carefully. They don't constantly switch between tasks. They don't check their phones every few minutes. They create periods of uninterrupted concentration because they understand that deep work produces extraordinary results. Most people underestimate how expensive distractions really are. You may only check your phone for 30 seconds, but your concentration can take several minutes to fully recover. Multiply that by dozens of interruptions every day, and it's easy to understand why so many people struggle to make meaningful progress. Successful people also understand the importance of physical health. Many people separate health from success. They see exercise as optional, sleep as negotiable, nutrition as something they'll improve later. But the truth is that your body influences every area of your life. Your energy affects your productivity. Your sleep affects your decisions. Your fitness affects your confidence. Your health affects your consistency. You cannot consistently perform at a high level while constantly neglecting the machine that makes everything possible. That's why many successful people treat exercise like an appointment instead of an option. Another habit that often goes unnoticed is continuous learning. The moment people stop learning, they begin falling behind. Highly successful people remain curious. They read books. They listen to educational podcasts. They study people who have already achieved what they want. They understand that knowledge compounds just like money. One useful idea learned today might completely change a decision you'll make next year. Learning isn't just about collecting information. It's about improving your ability to think. Another important routine involves reviewing their progress. Most people only think about their goals when they feel inspired. Successful people measure them regularly. They ask simple questions. What worked today? What didn't? What can I improve tomorrow? These small reflections prevent small mistakes from becoming permanent habits. Improvement doesn't happen automatically. It happens through awareness. Successful people also understand the power of saying no. Every opportunity isn't a good opportunity. Every invitation doesn't deserve acceptance. Every request doesn't require an immediate yes. One of the fastest ways to destroy your focus is filling your schedule with things that don't align with your priorities. Every time you say yes to something unnecessary, you're saying no to something important. Highly successful people understand this trade-off. Their calendars often reflect their values, not other people's expectations. Perhaps one of the biggest misconceptions about successful people is that they work every second of every day. In reality, many of them understand the importance of recovery. Rest isn't laziness. Recovery is preparation. A tired mind makes poor decisions. An exhausted body loses discipline. Burnout doesn't create success. Sustainable consistency does. This is why sleep becomes one of the highest return investments you can make. While many people sacrifice sleep to gain a few extra working hours, successful people often recognize that quality work matters more than simply working longer. Another daily habit is gratitude. This might sound simple, but gratitude changes perspective. People who constantly focus on what they lack often feel dissatisfied regardless of how much they achieve. Meanwhile, people who appreciate what they already have tend to experience greater motivation, resilience, and emotional stability. Gratitude doesn't eliminate ambition. It simply prevents ambition from turning into endless dissatisfaction. Successful people also spend time thinking about the future, not worrying, planning. There's an important difference. Worry creates anxiety. Planning creates direction. Instead of asking, "What if things go wrong?" they ask, "What can I do today to improve tomorrow?" This mindset shifts attention away from fear and toward action. And action is where progress always begins. Something else you'll notice is that successful people rarely chase perfection. Perfection creates hesitation. Perfection creates procrastination. Perfection convinces people that if something can't be flawless, it isn't worth starting. But progress doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. A completed project almost always creates more value than a perfect project that never exists. Finally, successful people end their day intentionally. Instead of collapsing into bed after hours of endless stimulation, many spend a few minutes reflecting. They review what they accomplished. They prepare tomorrow's priorities. They disconnect from unnecessary distractions. This creates a sense of closure. Tomorrow begins more smoothly because today ended with purpose. When you step back and look at all these habits together, something interesting becomes clear. None of them are extraordinary by themselves. Waking up intentionally isn't revolutionary. Reading every day isn't revolutionary. Exercising isn't revolutionary. Planning tomorrow isn't revolutionary, but together, repeated hundreds of times every year, they create extraordinary lives. That's how success is built. Not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through ordinary actions repeated long after the excitement disappears. Because in the end, your future isn't determined by what you do occasionally. It's determined by what you do consistently. You don't need to completely transform your life tomorrow morning. You don't need the perfect routine. You don't need endless motivation. Start with one habit. Protect your mornings. Focus on your most important task. Read a few pages every day. Exercise consistently. Reflect every evening. Then repeat, day after day, week after week, month after month. Because every successful person you admire was once exactly where you are now. The difference wasn't that they found a secret. The difference was that they committed to small routines long enough for those routines to change their lives. And if you can do the same, your daily routine won't just change your schedule, it will change your future.